Hey Fa.
Hey Fa.
Hey Fa,
Welcome to
Maybank.
Maybank.
Hi, excuse me. I'm Fa. I'm actually looking for meeting room 2.1. Do you happen to know where it is?
Hi, yeah, I'm Lakshan. Let me just show you the way.
Okay. You don't seem like you're from around the area. Like, where are you from?
Yeah, I'm actually a Sri Lankan. I'm here under the Global Maybank Apprentice Program.
Oh, I've heard about that program before. Can you explain more?
Yeah, sure. So it's a 2-year on-the-job rotational program where our apprentices get to rotate in departments of their choice. The journey of every single MA is personalized, and it also comes with a 3-month international assignment abroad. So for me, I'm doing it here in Malaysia.
Wow. Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, we've actually arrived. Here's your room.
All right. Thank you. I'll see you around.
Definitely.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi. How's everything at work? Are you having lunch now?
Well, yes, I just did. Work has been great. It's because my colleague has been super helpful. And I learned a lot in the span of 1 week.
Are you at the office right now?
I'm actually at a space called Escape by Attica, which is open to all Maybankers. Let me show you around. Alright, thank you so much. We'll catch up soon, okay? See you. Bye.
This is a melody.
Yeah. Oh. 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 Ah. Oh.
you.
In MGC 2019, we want our participants to take charge of their own choices to unfold different experiences throughout the challenge because every decision matters.
Alright, so what do you guys think? How about you? You know what? You're right. Action, can you perhaps include hashtag challenge of choice into the concept?
Sure.
Oh, hi Faris, have a seat. Okay, so what is your plan for your international assignment? I believe you should put your career aspiration on top and above your personal agenda of wanting to go to London, just because it's London, right? Okay, great. Let's plan your international assignment. Great, I'll see you around then.
Hey, Faris. Nice to see you again. How are you? Oh, me? I've just come back from my international assignment. It's been a really great experience, but you know, I really miss the Teh Tarik and the Roti Canai. Well, my international assignment was in London, so we got to really see how all parts of the bank and the departments work together outside of our traditional markets and really understand what we do outside Malaysia and outside Southeast Asia. So we really understand and learn a lot about the bank's business elsewhere. I'll tell you more about it later though. I have to go now. Toodle pip.
Aiyo, stress. Bro, can I please get some help? I'm dying here. Bro, thank you so much, man. Lifesaver, serious.
So what about you? Would you like to be part of Maybank? Hey Fa.
Hey Fa.
Hey Fa,
Welcome to Maybank.
Hi, excuse me. I'm Fa. I'm actually looking for meeting room 2.1. Do you happen to know where it is?
Hi, yeah, I'm Lakshan. Let me just show you the way.
Okay. You don't seem like you're from around the area. Like, where are you from?
Yeah, I'm actually a Sri Lankan. I'm here under the Global Maybank Apprentice Program.
Oh, I've heard about that program before. Can you explain more?
Yeah, sure. So it's a 2-year on-the-job rotational program where our apprentices get to rotate in departments of their choice. The journey of every single MA is personalized, and it also comes with a 3-month international assignment abroad. So for me, I'm doing it here in Malaysia.
Wow. Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, we've actually arrived. Here's your room.
All right, thank you. I'll see you around.
Definitely.
Bye.
Bye.
Taylor's University pursuing international business and marketing. I was also a Maybank student ambassador, #ambassador in 2019. So I'm excited to be here today to get all of these panel speakers to answer the burning questions that we have that were sent on behalf of our fellow university students and fresh graduates. Before we begin, I just want to remind all of you that we have a live chat box that is accessible and open to everyone. So feel free to drop your thoughts and questions whenever you want. Today, we have a spectacular group of young speakers who will be joining us. If you follow at My Roaring Careers or at Graduan on Instagram, I'm sure some of these faces may be familiar to you. So let's meet our speakers for our session today. And by the way, just a little insider, just so you know, our panel of speakers today are from different junctures and aspects of their career and will be sharing their views on some of the myths and rumors of the working world from their experience and perspective. So first of all, can we have Irene Tamara, who traveled from her home country in Indonesia to embark on her career in Maybank in Malaysia. She began her career in GMAT back in 2018 and is now an analyst in leverage finance, debt capital markets. Let's get to know our speaker a little bit better, shall we? Irene, can you please share with us the story behind your interesting photo?
To be very honest with you, this is the first time I'm seeing this picture. I didn't know that this picture would exist until now. But this picture would be about a year ago, before this coronavirus pandemic hits us. It was a hangout session after work with my lovely team, which is talent acquisition and workplace virtualization, which is also handling GMAT. So this was just a casual dinner that we had about a year ago.
Thanks, Irene. The soup does look good though. Do you know what soup it is?
I forgot.
Oh, well, never mind. Maybe you remember another time. Thanks, Irene. Next, we have Baban Sarpal, who began his career in GMAT back in 2019 after emerging as the global champion at the MGAC 2018 Global Finals. Baban, can you explain this interesting photo of you to us?
Thank you, Amanda, for having me. So I think much like Irene, this is the first time I'm seeing it. So I don't know I was even captured. But to give you context, this was during our retreat session with all of the my team from talent attraction and workplace featurization sometime last year. And so we were doing some, I think, Pilates, this time. And if you know me, I hate Pilates, I hate yoga, hot yoga. And so I think this was me trying to make fun of one of the poses that the instructor was doing. And little did I know that I was actually caught off guard. So yeah,
Thanks, Baban. I thought maybe you were doing ballet or something. I wasn't sure. But hope you're more flexible now after that session.
Oh, I'm not. I know I'm not.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Maybe you can still work on that. All right. And our third speaker is Wee Pei Jen, who has been considered a Maybanker for over 5 years despite her young age. This began when Pei Jen was awarded the Maybank Scholarship Award in 2015. Pei Jen, were you modeling or something in this photo? What was going on?
Looks like.
I wished I was modeling. This is a very flattering picture of me. Thanks for choosing it, guys. As mentioned, I am a Maybank scholar and have been since 2015. And this has opened up a lot of opportunities. And that includes taking this picture. Actually, this is a group picture of me and my teammates. And we were trying to channel our inner seriousness after a very tiring mooting competition we had in Korea. So it's one of my memorable Maybank moments because without having this support I have from Maybank for my education, I wouldn't even have been there.
Thanks for clarifying, Pei Jen. I was wondering maybe you were trying to be Statue of Liberty or something. Not sure.
I'm not too sure too.
Thank you, Pei Jen. So now that we've met our speakers, let's get to know them a little bit better now through a short round of Would You Rather, Would You See. So this is how it's going to work. I'll be asking our speakers a few Would You Rather questions, and they'll write down their respective choices and reveal them to us. Everyone ready? All right, get your pens and paper. So here's the first question. Working from home or working on site? Lock in your answers. All right. Everyone ready? On the count of 3, show me your paper. 1, 2, 3. All right, we have home for Irene, Baban home, and Peijan working on site. Peijan has a different perspective on this. Interesting. I remember when I was interning as well, I did enjoy working from home quite a bit because, you get to sleep and then you wake up like a minute before you clock in. Okay, no, please don't do that. Be on time for work and not in pajamas. Okay. All right, so interesting to see the variety of answers here. So let's go on to the next question. Get your papers and pen ready. Texts or calls? Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Call, both. Text. Another variety of answers. Interesting. I'm more of a texter myself, but good to know. Let's go on to the last rapid fire question. This is a little bit more serious, but really applicable to us uni students. We always ask this question. Cgpa or extracurricular? Okay, everyone got your answers? 1, 2, 3. Extra, not Cgpa, extra. So there's a consensus on this. I have to agree. Extracurriculars really help you to hone your soft skills outside of the classroom setting, and it's a bit sian, or boring to just sit in the classroom and study a bit. But yeah, please study. Okay. Thanks everyone. So that's the end of our rapid fire session. Let's go on to our main segment of the day. We've received a few myths and rumors from all of you in the audience prior to the event, and we'll be addressing them now before opening the Q&A session to the floor. Let's get on to the first myth. It's actually one of the most common myths that we received. First of all, the things we learned in university will not be applicable in the working world. So on the count of 3, I would like Irene, Baban, and Peijan, you just lift out your papers and let us know whether you think it's a myth or not. So, ready? All right, 1, 2, 3. Myth, true. All right, Irene, let's maybe start with you. Seeing that you've been in the working world for quite some time, what do you think?
I think it is applicable, especially because I came from accounting and finance major. At some point, when you start the job, an entry-level analyst, of course, you would need a few basics knowledge when it comes to banking. But what I'm talking about, the lesson learned in university that will be used in working world is not that. It's not the class type. It's not the theoretical kind of knowledge, but it is more towards the experience that you gain in university. For example, you used to have a lot of working in teams and a lot of extracurriculars like we previously agreed on. So this kind of experience, this kind of activities that we did in the university definitely will help you in the working world, not just because you learn about teamwork a lot, but also it teaches you how to connect, how to network with other people outside your working area.
Thanks, Irene. Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, I know.
Well, way to be perasan, but okay. Okay, let's go on next to Peijan. As a fresh grad from a non-banking and finance background, maybe your experience from Irene is a little bit different. So what's your take on this?
Yes. I wish my law degree was useful for what I'm doing now. So just to give you a little background, I have a law degree, but I'm working for Maybank, banking and finance sector, which has very little to do with law, other than the fact that we have a legal department. But I would say that no lessons are wasted lessons. Even though I don't utilize the substance of what I study, like the cases, the law, the legal jargon, but I definitely utilize the soft skills that I've acquired throughout university, and that includes like problem-solving skills, communication skills, teamwork, adaptability. So very applicable in what I'm doing. I just started working. So it's form and learn throughout our university. So I think it's also very important to look beyond acing just your exams, studying, and get a 4 flat or whatnot. And we have to join other extracurricular activities, as we've all consented to just now. Yeah. because these skills are the ones that will carry over and utilize in the real working world.
Thanks, Peijen. Well, court's adjourned on your end. So now we'll move on to Bhavan. What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, so for me, it's definitely a myth. So I come from a finance and economics background, and so I've got a very strong foundation that I think, for me personally, has helped me across my rotations. As I go across my rotations, and specifically, when it comes to departments that are a bit more technical, like corporate banking, or if you ever want to go into investment banking, then I think these kind of knowledges, that you study in university is very, very important, because when you enter these kind of departments, you have to hit the ground running, right? There's no way of waiting for somebody to teach you. So I think having that foundational knowledge that was built during university was very, very important for me. And I think even until today, if there's something I don't know in my line of work, I'll just go open my textbook, read it, and hopefully understand it better. But I think coming back to what Peijen and Irene were saying, I do agree that skills such as teamwork, which is also something that you build during university, is very, very important. And nobody will be able to complete the assignment or carry on their workload all on their own, right? Except for maybe that one gung-ho person who thinks he can do it all on his own. But other than that, I think we all need friends, and we all work better when we are as a team.
Great point, Bhavan. Yeah, I'm sure you made many friends when you were doing Pilates the other time.
Good to know they stick around.
Yeah. So this is really relatable question, because us uni students are always asking each other, we're going to use this, man. What's the point we learn this? I don't need to learn Potter's forces. Okay, sorry, lecturers. I do listen in your class. I do enjoy your classes, but it's fine. Let's move on to the next myth. Secondly, the pedigree of the university you go to and your Cgpa play big roles in deciding whether you get a job. So just like earlier, on count of three, just lift up your papers with your answers. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Myth. Wow, there's a consensus on this. All right, maybe we can start with Irene. So if I link this to your earlier answers, you mentioned that you chose extracurriculars over Cgpa, and this myth is a little bit different from that, but what are your thoughts on this?
To be very honest with you, Amanda, I think everyone in the audience can vouch for this. We do think so, and we compare ourselves a lot with other people that get higher Cgpa than I. That is like the harshest truth, but it is a truth. It is a fact. And then this job happened to me. And then when I went in to Maybank, I saw that my colleagues were from London, from US, Australia. My two best friends, they are from Malaysia and Australia. So I was like, can I even survive this company? Can I even apple to apple when it comes to, these people? But then again, after went through it, of course, when you go into a working world, everything starts from zero. You think you're smart, you think you're tough, try again. Because the moment you got into where you work, you need a lot of adjustments, definitely. And yes, your Cgpa and your university, they might open doors for you. They might provide you with opportunities to try on. Like, for example, how I came about to Maybank is from this competition called Maybank Go Ahead Challenge. I'm pretty sure you guys know. Back in 2016, I was one of the global finalists. I represent my country. I think that's how I came to know about these people in talent acquisition and workplace futurization. And that is one step inside already. But when it comes to surviving the job itself, I don't think university or Cgpa matters anymore.
That's a relief. Thanks, Irene.
Don't worry.
Thanks, Irene. Yeah, this is something that we always think about in uni.
I know.
Yeah. All right, Bhavan. So Irene has just shared her thoughts on this. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Okay, so this is a myth, but I first have to be very, very bluntly honest. I thought this was true all the while I was in university, until I entered Maybank. So all this while, I always thought that Cgpa and your university and how active you are in extracurriculars mattered the most. I thought that it was the gospel truth to your personality and achievements, right? So again, this is all true until I entered Maybank, and when we were in charge of some of the recruitment events, I realized that this is actually not true. So at Maybank, I think what we do is that we don't really look at like Cgpa or your university and all, because I think it's more important to see how people carry themselves, how they, I think, interact with one another, which is something that you usually won't get in a typical 30-minute interview, right? So if you think about it, if you're all being honest here, everyone here has prepped for an interview. If you've been for an interview or you've gone for an interview, you've prepped yourself for it, right? So you know exactly what you want to say, you know exactly what you don't want to say, you know what you want to highlight so that you can impress the interviewer. And so, in essence, if you think about it, every prepared interviewee is actually a scripted applicant, right? And so I admit that I was one of that person too, because I always thought that that's what interviewers will always want to hear. And don't even get me started on things like CV, right? So people go ahead and like buff up their CVs just to make it look very, very impressive. But I think for me, when I entered Maybank, I think I realized that there are actually it's a bit different in how we do things here. So for us, I think to understand how people react, how people learn from their life lessons, and how they carry themselves is very, very much more important. And this is something that I think you won't be able to gauge from a typical 30-minute interview. And I think that's why if you see Maybank has been very, very actively hosting engagement events, right? So just today morning we had an engagement session with some of the university students from Sunway, and then now we have this, right? And also I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're in the midst of our Maybank Accelerator program, right? So all of this is in the spirit of knowing who our future potential applicants are. And to see how is it that they actually carry themselves outside of a typical interview setting, which also I think, Amanda, reminds me, for all of you guys who are watching who are actually from the Maybank Accelerator program, your keyword is the bank. That's all I have to say.
Thanks for the reminder, Baban. Maybe I need to cut down the 10 extra pages in my CV after what you just told me.
I think so too.
Yeah.
No one has
All
time
right.
to read that.
Yeah, no one has time to read all the 10 pages. All right, Pei Chen, take it away.
I think I resonate a lot with what Bhavin has said. Me being a very fresh Maybanker, it's only been barely 3 months. Before I landed this opportunity being in the GMAT program, I really thought that Cgpa is forever. I'm not a fourth letter, I'm not going to get it. I don't have a banking background, I'm definitely not going to get it. But I managed to go through the stages, through the hiring process. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal experience through the hiring process. So mine was done a little bit different. It was a virtual assessment. So usually we have it physical, but due to COVID, everything was virtual this time. So there were like 5 stages of the hiring process. And I thought that, oh no, I'm going to go on the first one. No banking background, bye-bye guys. I'm just gonna get out of here. But no, as it progressed, I realized that it doesn't really matter where you're coming from. It doesn't matter what degree you have, how, whether you're from Oxford or Harvard or things like that. I myself, I'm a local graduate. And I can only speak for Maybank because I've been through the hiring process, but they really curate a kind of assessment, the hiring process. It's really to get to know the candidates. They really want to find people who are of the same values that Maybank holds. Everything has to be aligned, So just to share a little bit on how grueling the process is and how not subject focused it is. So we are required to digest like over 60 pages of a business case in a super, super short amount of time. Honestly, it's inhumanely, it's not possible. And we have to find points to back up our argument. And at the very last minute, before your presentation, when you think you got it down, they'll just throw you a very new news update that will just throw you off your game. So I'm telling you, at that time, I realized that, hey, my university and my Cgpa really does not help me in any of this. Even I don't have a background, but hey, I think I'm doing all right. It really depends on your soft skills, your personalities, and your values. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I think if I can weigh on here, Pei-Chen, firstly, I feel so proud because I was part of the team that curated in for Pei-Chen.
Was it Bhavin?
Sorry?
Pei-Chen before.
Yeah, actually, this is really funny. Irene and Bhavan, they were actually the speakers before I even entered GMAT. We had like this chill mama session and they were the speakers. And it's really surreal because like I'm here now talking to you guys.
So you can be here too, guys.
You can be here too, guys. Even for Baban, I think you were the participant for Maybank Go Ahead Challenge when I was the
Correct.
So we are all connected in some way.
Yeah. So Irene hired me, or
Oh, no. I don't.
Sorry. So she was
I don't have the
involved in the
power.
process. She was involved in the process of hiring me. Now I was involved in the process of hiring Pajan. Maybe Pajan's involved in the hiring of Amanda or like somebody out there. You never know.
Yeah, we never know how the tables will turn eventually.
Exactly.
No, I was a little bit scared during Pageant's story, but now I feel you all lighten the mood. I feel better now. Thanks for that.
It's really grueling, but honestly, when you get to the other side, it's totally worth it. And even though it's grueling, it's really fun actually. I had so much fun during the assessment centers.
You know why we do this or not, Pajan?
To torture. I mean, to get to know us.
You say to
It might
torture.
happen in the work. It might happen when you went to the working world. Then this kind of crisis, when you were like thrown with a bunch of data, then crisis happened. That is very possible when you are working and you are carrying the bank's name and the bank's, profit or losses lah, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good point. Yeah, the idea is to simulate like a world, like a real world or real working life environment. And so I know hopefully that would have taught you something, Pajan. I feel proud, like a proud mama hen.
So one big family over here. All right. Shall we move on to the next myth?
Sure.
All right. So now we've got one. Okay, this is interesting. Senior colleagues are reluctant in knowledge sharing. Okay. Just on earlier on the count of three, just lift out your paper. Whether you think it's myth or not. 1, 2, 3. Myth. Wow, it's a myth. All right. Let me see, who should I ask? Okay, well, Pajan, we just heard from you, but seeing that you just graduated and are fairly new to the working world, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, I really am quite anxious about knowing this. I remember when I was interning, I was like, oh no, are they going to ask me to make coffee every day? Are they going to ask me to photocopy things? What are they going to make me do, So maybe you can make me feel a bit better and share with everyone what we actually know now.
So let me tell you, they do not ask you to make coffee. They actually make coffee for you sometimes. They bring coffee to work. They bring I'm currently rotating in a department called Digital Strategy. 2 of my bosses, they are coffee buffs. They love coffee. So they'll bring their machine from home and they'll be like, hey, you guys want coffee? So I think it's really the opposite. My senior colleagues are one of the nicest and the funniest people that I've met. They even make memes on our group chat. It's really funny. And in terms of knowledge sharing, they're very, very guiding. They answer all of the rookie questions that I have. They're super knowledgeable. And I'm very fortunate. I mean, I've only been on one rotation through the GMAT program. So Aini can speak on this. But based on what I know, everyone else throughout the bank, they're all about the same. It's an open door concept for our department, and we have daily calls to check in on each other and to share what are we up to. If I've been on this project before and somebody had done this before, we have knowledge sharing sessions. So whenever I'm unsure of anything, being from a background that doesn't really relate to digital strategy, I'm never afraid to ask because they're also guiding. But of course, all of this comes with self-initiative. You gotta put work. You gotta ask questions. You gotta volunteer for projects, and also connect with your colleague on a personal level. That's where your EQ comes in. And also sometimes you have really stupid questions, so better Google it before asking.
Thanks, Pajan. Just as you were talking, the High School Musical 2 song Work This Out started playing in my head and now it's stuck. Thanks a lot for that. But anyway, maybe how about Baban?
Yeah, so I think this is definitely a myth. Like Pajan said, if anything, they bring coffee for you, or they take you out for coffee runs, go to the nearest cafe, and you guys just chill. So that's definitely true in Maybank. You go for coffee runs together. But yeah, I think I've been fortunate enough that I've been in the bank for about close just out of 18 months. And I don't think that I've ever had a senior that has ever not been willing to help me. And I think either it's my good luck, but I think from the conversations that I've had with so many other people, so many other MAs, within our program, they've all had the same experience, right? So no senior of ours have ever been reluctant to share knowledge. If anything, I think they're more interested in share knowledge with you. And let's put seniors aside, right? I've had managers and directors who have come up to me and say like, hey, are you okay? Do you need help with your work? Or if anything you don't understand, just come and feel free and ask me. So it's that level of non-hierarchy that we have, a very open floor concept, like what Pajan mentioned. And I must really admit that when I first heard this, I was quite shocked. But then as I rotated across my other rotations and departments, I realized that this is actually how it is in Maybank, right? And I'm not just saying that because I work for Maybank, but it is really how it is. And I think, but this comes, like Pajan said, right? It comes with initiative. It also comes with humility, right? You don't go in asking, thinking that you know it all, right? So you go in, with the curiosity to learn, the humility, and if you're willing to learn, I think anyone will be more than willing to share. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it seems that we all need to take a little more initiative. So, how about Irene?
Baban, you said about getting coffee run together. You escaping work, is it?
Huh? No. I used to come to the office at 6:30 in the morning. Then we work.
Too early.
Coffee runs at 6:30.
Senior colleagues are reluctant in knowledge sharing. This is definitely a BS. Okay, that's the extreme term. It's a BS. I don't know about other companies though, but there must be a reason that all of us answered. It's a myth, because in Maybank, right, it's a bit ironic if your mission and vision is humanizing financial services, but yet you ask your intern to fetch a coffee for you. I don't think that's appropriate. But if I can appreciate my team, my current team, especially Leverage Finance that markets Maybank Investment Bank, they are the greatest people. They are very, very nice, very, very kind. There is no hierarchy whatsoever. I can have my colleagues explaining things to me that I don't understand, even though I came from accounting and finance major. They will like go through one by one. Each term they will explain to me, Irene, so this is how it goes, and we will face it during this time, blah blah blah. So that's why I don't know why guys get this myth from, because I don't think it's true at all. And I can say this, but I wouldn't be able to survive without my senior colleagues, you see. And the thing is, of course, it's about self, you need to, at some point, if you know that Google can provide for you, you shouldn't ask this kind of questions, because they also have their own work. But the thing that I admire the most about Maybankers, especially my team, is that they will just lion me. They just lion me. I ask anything, also they lion me. And they will create the environment where I wouldn't be so afraid to ask things, you see. But of course, I will pick and choose what to question also.
I think you brought out a good point.
We also lion you, Irene.
Lion.
I think to add on to what Irene mentioned regarding you're not sure where this myth comes from, I think I have something to weigh in on that. So if you think about back when you were in school, you always say that like, oh, these are the seniors and then these are the juniors, and like, oh, I'm the juniors, I need to defer to the seniors. So then when we go out into the working world, we think that, oh, everyone here is a senior, there's a very strict hierarchy, but at the end of the day, it isn't really true after all. Like maybe if you all don't mind, I could share a little bit of my experience from when I was interning. So at the beginning of this year, from Jan to April, I actually interned in the strategic digital department under the summer local team, as we know it now. So what happened was I was told jokingly that like, oh, maybe you'll be having to make coffee and photostat stuff for people. But throughout my entire internship, I found out that I never actually had to do that. I was doing a lot of things hands-on with the team. If I needed any help, I just needed to ask my supervisor, Freza, or anything. And he would just, he said, chill, and he would just buy us snacks. And even one time he made me go with him to the snack shops to buy all these snacks, and I had to carry these like huge bags of snacks. But yeah, I remember at the end during our farewell, I was telling them like, oh, I'm glad I didn't have to make coffee and photocopy stuff. And they said, wait, you were meant to give us coffee? Where's our coffee? At the end, I've never had to ever bring them coffee. So yeah, just wanted to add on my experience for that. Yeah, let's go on to another myth. Okay, this is something that is, I think, very common right now to hear, work-life balance. Is work-life balance a myth? Let's get ready our papers here. Everyone ready? 1, 2, 3. So true, myth, myth. All right. So Baban, you mentioned that it's true. What's your take on this?
Yeah. Okay. So brace yourself. A new concept coming to you this 2020.
Oh, but don't scare people away, lah.
No. I'm
Drum roll,
building
please.
So okay.
Drum roll.
Yeah, drum roll, please. So no,
Can see from the black eye already.
So yeah, I think it's true because for us or for me, I think it's more of a new concept that we call work-life integration, right? So I think allow me to explain this a little bit. So when you go to the office, regardless of who you work for, when you go to the office, you don't stop being a brother, a son, a wife, or a daughter to someone at home. And I think the same goes when you're at home, right? So you don't stop being a Maybank employee or another employee just because you're at home, right? So I think there's this seamless integration that most Maybankers right now would have already learned how to embed in their daily lives and practice, right? So at Maybank, I think we believe in flexible working hours. So what this means is that you can always attend to your family while you're at work. We have a Tiger Cup session, a club for working mothers to keep their children there in case they cannot find a nanny. So this flexible working arrangement, I think we've had it for a very long time, and I think it's fair because it's something that we strongly believe in, right? So it's not fair to bound your employees to the confines of work and only work, right? And everyone has a life outside of work, and we respect that, right? And what happens if you bound them is that it affects their mental health and their well-being, and it demotivates them, right? And so Maybank recognized this for a long time. I think it's not just Maybank, right? A lot of other companies would have recognized this as well. So in light of that, what we've done is we've introduced flexible working hours, which means that while you're at work, you can go and attend to your family, you can pick up calls from your mom or whatever it is. But that being said, right? So when you go home or when you're off your working hours, it should also be then okay to take calls from your bosses or from your clients or reply to work WhatsApp messages or whatever it is. So that ability to integrate life and work seamlessly is I think what is very, very important. Instead of just a work-life balance where you say, okay, I have to work 8 hours and then I'm going to go and yoga 8 hours or something. Sorry, I don't know how many hours people do yoga for, but yeah. So I think it's a very unheard of concept, but I promise you, I think that's the truth. Work-life integration, guys, it's a concept. You'll catch on. Trust me. Yeah,
I think it's the first time I've heard this concept. Like prior to you mentioning this, I've never heard this before. Well, now I know there isn't such a clear thing of like, okay, 9 to 5, I work, and then the rest of the time I stay home, I sleep, I eat with my family and stuff like that. Well, thanks for clarifying that. How about you? Let me think. Irene?
Me, I think I was in between both, between myth and true. I just think that the two things doesn't need separation. Means that what is it like, okay, in a day you have 12 hours of work and 12 hours of life. That is balance. But I can't think of activities if I have 12 hours of life. To be honest with you, in my opinion, you just need to find the right, like that harmony between work and life itself. Like for me, one of my closest friends I got from work, and during work also I can still have fun. I can still do things that I like because they wouldn't like stop you just because you're doing something personal, you see. So in my opinion, this work-life balance thing, don't need to make a really big fuss about it, because I really understand. Even when I was in uni, right? Before deciding to join the bank, I was thinking of joining the accounting firm. But then those firms, right, are very famous for not having work-life balance. But now I'm in the bank, I was thinking, what is work-life balance? You see, like, doesn't mean that I don't have it, but it means that it's just very seamless. You shouldn't keep it apart between the two, because it should be complementing each other. Of course, when you are young, you are very thirsty of learning, of having new knowledge every day. I know that if you are just like watching Netflix the whole day, some days can, but some days, you just want to learn some. You're eager to to get new knowledge. And I think that should be the way. You just feel like as long as your workplace allows you to, and your life also is flexible enough, then it's not a problem at all.
That's a good point you brought up there. I think a lot of us, we are very used to the structure that is brought to us by like our timetables in school. Yes. It's like, this morning is PE, then later we have maths class or things like that. So we are all really stuck on this idea that like, after this time, then I just do whatever I want. And like, it's not really healthy for us to have too much of a division on that. Hey, Jen, what are your thoughts on this? Can you wrap us up?
Yeah, I think Irene and Baban said everything, and I agree fully on everything. They summed up everything perfectly. And I relate personally more to work-life integration rather than balance, because I don't see the need of having like a blatant line. This is work, this is life. No mixing, because I think that you don't have two different personas. When I'm working, I'm a different person. In my life, I'm a different person. There's no such thing as that separation. When you work, you bring an element of yourself, your personalities, and your value when you work. And that's inevitable. We're all human. It works that way. And I'd just like to point out that similarly to our university life, the busyness at work is not a stagnant line. It's like a roller coaster. Sometimes in uni, we have like our peak periods. You're super busy with assignments, midterms, finals, and you're just going crazy. But there are times where we're more chill. I can go drink boba with my friends after class,
Very sure
So,
Agent.
Sorry?
Lucky you said boba, right?
Boba, yes.
Boba only, yeah? All right.
Yeah. So similarly, work is like that. You don't have your peak periods all the time. It doesn't work that way. So yeah, work-life integration, guys, the new cool term.
Thank you. And I think to add to Pajan, right, a lot of us, if you work in the bank long enough, and I think Irene can vouch for this, is that over time you build a family within the bank itself, and it makes that transition so much easier because, typically if you don't have that work-life integration, and you feel like you're stressed at work, then the only people you can talk to are your family members. But if you work long enough, then you build that relationship or that special bond with, your colleagues, such that, if you're having a tough day or a rough day, you can go to them. And it makes that integration a whole lot more seamless. So yeah, just something I thought I'd add on.
Yeah, as a student myself, I feel that there's this concept of work-life balance tends to be shoved down our throats by anything, by the media we absorb in social media, or what our lecturers say, like, there must be some work-life balance. But at the end of the day, like what you all mentioned, it seems like I need to change my lifestyle a bit to have some work-life integration. Okay, I probably should cancel all the schedules I made for the past 10 weeks. But yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah, too much. 10 weeks is way too much. All right, let's go on to another follow-up question relating to this myth. So given the COVID-19 situation we are in, can you all share your thoughts on the future of work? I think this question came up because we know work-life balance is a concept that is maybe somewhat in the past. So what are your thoughts on the future instead? Let's start with Irene. What is your take?
I think the future of work would be much more efficient because previously when we need to go to the office or even when we meet clients in a certain area, then it limits our movement, you see. But because of coronavirus, then we were forced to work from home, means that we need to rely solely on like this kind of platform, online platform. Then it just debunked the whole, okay, this project needs this budget, this project needs this budget. When in fact, the whole, even graduate also, right? Last year's, we have a lot of engagements, not only for graduate, a lot of job fair, but corporates are pushed to the outside their limit to actually think of a way to keep it running, like what we are doing right now. Coronavirus wouldn't stop corporates to actually embracing the stakeholder. So I feel like, future of work will become much more efficient. And for people, who long for that work-life integration or work-life balance, this definitely will make it much, much easier. Although there is a downside to it, like personal experience for new mother, maybe when they're having a Zoom call, then the baby will shout what, and they felt bad. They felt bad because of it, which I don't think they should, because again, it's a humanizing workplace. So we kind of understand that everyone is trying to cope with this thing at their best. So I think, yeah, future of work, I think it will be much more efficient than before.
Yeah, this links a little bit to what you mentioned about work-life integration as well. We can see that now the lines are being blurred and people are being more empathetic after all. At the end of the day, we're all just humans. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, Peijan, could you share your perspective on this?
Okay. Similarly to Irene's opinion, I think that COVID is something that we have to learn to live with because the numbers are not going down. And when it goes down, it goes up again. And it's not going to go away anytime. So I think what's special that Maybank has done is we've tried to embrace the situation and adapt to what we have right now. And yeah. So one of the future of work that I can think of, because I'm in one of the co-working space projects in my department, is decentralizing of physical offices. I realized that nowadays a lot of big companies, they have big offices, they're trying to scale down and decentralize it and make it like smaller scattered working hubs so that we can work from home, but we also have the option of going to another space to maybe collaborate with our colleagues or something like that. And I think also another point is upscaling. Like for Maybank, we're reinventing how we function at work, basically. We have a lot of Maybank initiatives where we upskill ourselves, learn something new. Like our Maybank, like just last month, I went for a VBA course, which is basically like a coding course for macros on Excel. And that's totally something that I've never done before. So yeah, I think upskilling is one of the future of work that we're embracing in Maybank as well.
Yeah, especially now that we are in the new normal, we have a lot of different available options. There's Coursera, there's, all those different platforms that you can learn to upskill. Upskilling is like a very popular term right now. Maybe you can weigh in on this as well, Baban?
Yeah. Okay. So for me, right, I think the future of work is that I think we can all agree that flexibility is the way to go, right? Working from home, working on the go, working from anywhere, whatever you want to call it, that's the way that we're moving towards. And I think evidently we all knew that flexible working hours, was the way to go around. And if anything, I think COVID-19 just accelerated that digital transformation for most organizations. Right? We were all going to get there eventually, but it's just that with the pandemic, we just had to get there sooner than later. And I think the same was the case for Maybank, right? I think for those of you guys who don't know, at the very, very start of the MCO, Maybank had, I think, 80% of our employees working on site, right? And this is because we were essential services, and so we thought, we needed all of our employees in the office. But I think within a span of 7 to 10 days, the HR people, I know they turned this around, and we moved from, I think, 80% work from home, 80% work from office to 80% work from home. And I think for me that highlighted two very, very important things on the future of work. One, as from where we came on in March until today, I've seen personally for me and a lot of my colleagues that I've spoken to, work from home doesn't put or has put no dent on productivity or morale, right? If anything, I think it boosts productivity because it saves you all that time that you have to travel to work, travel back from work, and all those other necessities. And I think for me personally, I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of my colleagues, we love this idea. We love where we're heading or where we are right now. There is no some sort of uneasiness or discomfort, from working from home or in addressing this new norm, right? You get to wake up 15 minutes before your meeting and then still be in time for the meeting because you don't have to drive to office. I mean, who doesn't love that, right? But I agree. Okay, that's one side of the spectrum. There is the other side of the spectrum, where people are who are a bit more of social butterflies. So they need to see colleagues or they need to see people to thrive or to function. So I think for them, it might take a little bit longer to get there. But I think the future of work is in flexibility. And, if I think it's also important to highlight that, I said there were two things that this would have highlighted for me. The second thing is I think Maybank was, I don't know if a lot of you guys know, but I think we were one of the first few banks to deploy an 80% work from home order. Which I think to me is a strong testament that the bank, number one, knows its direction. They know that they want to keep their employees safe. They say, hey, this is the best time to leverage this opportunity. I think Tony Fernandez once said, never waste a crisis. And so I think that's exactly what Maybank did. And I think it's it's a testament to our mission, humanizing financial services, keeping employees safe, and yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because I remember when I was interning, I was at this like 3-month mark of my internship, and there was 1 more month left that I was actually supposed to go back to uni. But as a result of the COVID situation, I ended up extending my internship and working from home as well. Yeah, I kind of miss the lunch times and stuff. Personally, I'm not so much on the social butterfly aspect, but I mean, it's nice to be around people and like, hey, you want to go for lunch, you want to eat fun, or hey, go and get the coffee from Bataling Street and stuff. Like, those are all the things that we miss interacting with our colleagues. But at the end of the day, the importance of agility that you've like mentioned a lot, Baban, I guess relating to your Pilates flexibility as well. I mean, at the end of the day, we all need to learn how to be more flexible, learn to be agile, and adapt to the different situations we are in.
No, actually, that's very true. Yeah. I'm just going to add one more small thing. So I remember this part when we were very, very early on in the MCO, and everybody was, as we were transitioning to getting that used to that new normal, we were all like, at some point you'll be like, oh, I haven't seen you guys for so long, especially, the teams that you worked on for very closely. So what we did was we all, I think, one day we just, we do this every Friday. We used to have a Zoom call every Friday night, and then we used to play games like, Among Us, or we order food together and we eat together, or we play like, I think that time Plateau was very, very famous. So yeah, I think that's it's about how you manage or how you be agile, right? And so that's, I think, some things that we do, and I think we'll do moving forward to be keeping ourselves happy.
Yeah, good point on that. So maybe we can move on to another myth. Oh, it is a bit thundery in my area. I apologize if you all can hear the thunder. I guess it's just to show the gravity of the situation or the questions we're answering. So here's another myth. Okay, very relatable to Industry 4.0, the very hype term that we all hear nowadays or we learn about in uni as well. Digitalization and automation will drive job losses across all categories of workers. So if y'all can get ready your papers on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. True. Wow, all true consensus on this as well. Okay, let me start with Peijen. What are your thoughts?
I think that robots are going to take over our jobs by the end of the year. Yeah. I'm joking. No, I'm joking. I think that in our current job landscape, it's inevitable that machines are gonna be better. Did you guys watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix? Yeah, it's a documentary. It's very scary. It's basically telling you that machines are gonna basically take over and they're watching our every move lah. So with that, I think a lot of work, like for example, maybe the data entry or bookkeeping or things like that, it's something that machines can do faster with less human error. And that's why it's very, very, very important to upskill ourselves. Like we have to beat those machines. We gotta hone the skills, all the skills that they can't have. Like machines can't learn empathy. They can't learn maybe analytical skills with a little bit of humane touch to it. They can't learn that. So we gotta do that. So on the note of upscaling, I think Maybank, as I mentioned earlier, has a lot of upscaling initiatives. One of it, the Future Ready, Learning Never Stop program, and we have a lot of programs on e-learning portal, for example, on our HR platform. So, and as I mentioned, I went for one of the courses, and it was a coding course, so I'm kind of learning what the machine is learning. Yeah.
How the tables have turned.
Yeah, how the tables have turned. So I think that it's very important, especially for young graduates like me, myself, and basically everyone in the workforce, to be agile in their learning. They have to learn, unlearn, and relearn what is needed at that moment of time. And honestly, hard skills are something that is not impossible to pick up. Really, it isn't. You just need a lot of effort at the beginning and a lot of practice. But it's actually the openness and attitude of a person to be willing to be agile and adapt and learn that is difficult to shape. So I think that's something that we should have.
Yeah, I think the keyword over here is upskilling. You never stay stagnant in your life. The important thing for you is to keep going up and up and up and learning more things, especially now when there are all these concerns that, oh no, robots are going to take over the world. Like, when you were telling your story of that, I was a bit nervous because, Halloween is coming. It's a bit, yeah. Maybe Baban, you can share your perspective and make me feel a little bit better.
Yeah. So for me, I think this is also true to some extent, right? And I think the only reason I say it's true is because it's evident. It's already happening, right? To deny it would be to be foolish, right? So we see it all around us. But I think a better way, or I think the right question for us to ask here is, what are organizations doing, to address this? Knowing that this is a force to be reckoned with, what are we doing, right? And I think that's where Pajan stole all of my talking points. Where I was going to say that how I think Maybank has learning never stops, which is I think something that we only started implementing during the MCO. So for those of you guys who don't know, learning never stops is basically a series of programs that employees can complete at home, should they ever want to. So this can be whatever Excel or VBA, macros, Python, whatever you want. So I personally did myself. So I've done macros together with Pajan, but on a different class. And also, we've got things like we've got a Maybank Sandbox where we get to learn Python and R. So this was I think already there since 2018 when I joined. The funny thing is that Pajan always said, what do you call it? She's trying to beat the robots, but the truth is actually we built the robots, right? So that's a fact. So we built the robots. And also, I think the other part of it is that apart from the statement that what organizations can do, it's also what you can do for yourself, knowing that the force is coming. So this is where taking up courses on Coursera or Udemy or any other course that you see, LinkedIn Learning, for example. These are examples of courses that are readily available. Most of them, a lot of them are actually free and very, very useful. I myself did that when I was in the early stages of the MCO. And I think, it's super important for the organizations to provide that platform and for us to upskill ourselves. So, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up the fitness classes that were also offered at the period. But
okay, wait, hold on. Let me get to that. This is a whole story. Okay.
Oh dear, here we go.
No, so we had Maybank had this in order to keep our wellness and well-being and our mental health to do a mental health check on all of us. So we had this 30-day 7-minute challenge. So for 30 days, you have to post a video of yourself working out non-stop for 7 minutes. It's a lot harder than you think, not because I'm unfit, but it's really a lot harder than you think. Okay. And then in the end, the pool of winners, whoever decides to join and whoever stays consistent for 30 days, you get to win a sum of money with whoever else who managed to complete 30 days. So I think that was something super, super interesting. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, I know. Fitness is your favorite area. Pilates earlier, now all these challenges.
Yoga.
Some hype beasts over here.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Thanks for adding on to that, like the Coursera and also the fitness courses and so on. How about you, Irene? I hope they haven't stolen your points as well.
One suggestion. I think that we should call this session not debunking myths. It's more towards comforting new job seekers. Right?
Yeah, I need some comfort. I'm kind of scared now.
yeah, that's right. But I mean, everything has been said by Pajan and Baban. Of course, technology advancement is very, but you do need to know that the statement of that you just asked earlier, job losses across all categories of workers. I'm not quite agree with that because, like what Pajan and Baban said, there are certain things that need the human touch of it. Like for example, like banking, right? There's a reason why we choose humanizing financial services, not making machine, for for financial services or whatever, because there is a reason to it. Like for example, I'm a credit analyst. Certain project, if you rely solely on the calculation of machine, we might need to dispose the project. But it's that human calculation, human instinct that sometimes need to be relied on to give other parts of the economy to develop. If you rely solely on machines, right, they definitely will choose the best scenario that, of course, it will make the stronger grow stronger and the poorer grow poor. So that's why I feel like you need to be very wise and very, like what Pajan said, agile to be ready to learn something new that it won't be replaced with machines. But I'm feeling that I'm very lucky working in the bank that is very supportive towards its employee when it comes to upskilling initiatives or even other things like what Baban said, coping up with all of this coronavirus, forcefully working from home with this fitness, working out together, or even making TikToks together like few weeks back. So if I can compare, I think Maybank, if I can compare to any companies back in my hometown, which is Indonesia, during these tough times, not only coronavirus, but also digitalization, a lot of people loses their jobs. But Maybank being the humanizing bank, they are very supportive. They put their employees as their priority. That's all I can say.
Thanks for adding on to that, Irene. Yep, Baban?
I think the only good thing about digitalization and what Pejan said and what Irene said is that maybe there'll be one day where my yoga and Pilates instructor will be a machine.
I doubt they'll be as flexible as you can ever get, though. We'll see about that in maybe 10 years. Come back in 10 years. Yeah, thanks for making me feel a little better. Like, as part of the Gen Z generation, we grew up on movies like Terminator, and you see all these like Arnold Schwarzenegger tell you like I'll be back, and it's like, oh no, are we going to be replaced by robots or Arnold Schwarzenegger and all in the future? But yeah, I'm glad we won't be replaced after all. But we just need to show initiative, upskill, and at the end of the day, I mean, we created them, so we are still the kings, kings and queens. All right. So we have one last question from this before we wrap up the segment. But before that, I just want to remind everyone in the audience that we have a live chat box that is accessible and open to everyone. So feel free to drop your thoughts and questions whenever you want, and we'll try to address them later on. Okay, back to the last question. Okay, this is not really a myth or not myth question. It's more of like a which one you prefer question. So EQ or IQ? Yep, write down your answers.
Can I pick both?
No, you have to try to choose one, maybe lean towards one because there's a spectrum after all. Okay, everyone ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. EQ, EQ, IQ. Ooh, okay, interesting. We have like an outlier question here, but maybe let's start with Baban first. Baban, can you share your thoughts on why you think EQ is the superior one?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna keep this short. Okay. So I think for me EQ mainly because for me personally I don't think that being the smartest is the most important thing. I think it's the less talked about skills like the ability to read the room, the ability to understand the audience, the ability to empathize with your workers, manage teams, work with leaders, sympathize with certain scenarios. I think those are some of the more important skills as you climb up the corporate ladder, and I think you can only do that when you have a very good sense of IQ, right? So I think if I can just reflect, how many times have you seen someone who just speaks because they just want to sound smart, or if they're smart and they just want to get their point across, right? So we've all experienced that. But I think when you have high EQ, you'll be able to better understand that that's not the end goal. The end goal is to lead teams and manage expectations. And when you have a very good sense of EQ, I think you'll be able to diffuse situations with the least amount of damage. And that's very, very important when it comes to work, right? So especially when you're working with multiple different departments, there are chances where frictions may be caused. And I think when you're able to have that EQ with yourself, you can diffuse those situations easily. But I must admit, not everybody has that EQ, and I didn't myself. It's something it's okay not to have it, right? It's just something that you have to realize you can build over time, and you learn from experiences. So I think I may have placed a greater emphasis on IQ in the past, but I think over time you learn that I think for me EQ is a bit more important than IQ.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like a lot of us, we were brought up with the idea like, oh, your grades are this, and like, oh, your IQ score determines what you're going to do in your future. But at the end of the day, yeah, there's a lot of collaborative things that you do in the workplace that require you to understand each other. Maybe Irene, you could also elaborate on this.
So my choice was EQ. Who chose IQ, Amanda? I didn't see it.
I don't know who the other person. What's his name? Pejan.
Let me tell you, IQ will only work if you're the only human being in the world. When there is apocalypse and you are the only remaining human in the world. Because I feel, since our civilization is built around this creature called humans, so to get to where you want, you need to interact with them. And okay lah, this is very similar with the question Cgpa or extracurricular. And we did choose extra. Then Pejin, why did you choose IQ suddenly? Huh?
I think you saw wrongly. I choose EQ.
Oh, see, Amanda, I think so. Okay, so EQ or IQ? I feel like when you're in university, then IQ will look, a bit more common because you can see a value assigned to it. So you can see which people, which person is better than others. But again, maybe it will bring you one step inside the door, like what Bavan and Pajan said much earlier. Yes, it can bring you to places, but about survival side of things, I don't think IQ will bring you that long. So definitely EQ is very important when it comes into the working world. Other than if your company is your father's company, then having IQ is enough, sure. But because when you work inside a company, right, then you have a team. That team requires you to be able to work in a team, how to communicate. That doesn't matter if you have the best ideas, but you can't communicate it. It doesn't matter if you are the smartest, you feel like you can solve any problem in the world, but if you're not willing to listen, to work together towards the solution, that it just won't work. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Sometimes we put too much emphasis on book smart, but at the end of the day, we do need street smart, of course. We always hear this term. But Peijan, Irene roasted you a little bit earlier. How do you feel? Do you feel the burn? What do you think?
I need to put some aloe vera because I felt it. Okay, let me defend my choice.
The lawyer in this.
The only reason why I chose IQ was because I was back in the corner. That's number one. And then number two, I think both Baban and Irene gave very, very good answers about EQ, and I totally agree 100%. And the only reason why I chose IQ is that I think that IQ is something that gives you your flesh and the substance of your framework to me. And EQ is like a delivery system to your IQ. And yes, it's very true. In the working world, if your delivery system is down, if your post laju is down, your IQ is not going to get to the receiver, to the receiving end. And you can be the smartest person in the room, but nobody would know that you are. Because you can't read the room, you can't articulate your ideas properly. So maybe I am converted to EQ after thinking about it. But I would say that this question is very unfair. It's exactly like the question of what came first, the chicken or the egg. Because both are equally as important and it's intertwined and it comes together, guys.
Okay lah.
Fair enough. So just to ask you, do you eat chickens and eggs? By the way, which one do you prefer?
I like both.
Yeah, I eat them as a family, the chicken and eggs.
Yeah. So that goes to the point of it's really hard for us to choose one or the other. At the end of the day, EQ and IQ, there's a spectrum of depending on the situation, sometimes you need IQ, sometimes you need EQ. I mean, sometimes you can use your logic when you need to analyze certain data, but you also need your EQ when you're talking to people, empathizing, understanding yourself, ensuring, reflecting, and ensuring your mental health is stable after all at the end of the day. So yeah, that's a great discussion on that, wrap up on this segment. So those are the myths that we've got for today. Maybe we can move on to the open Q&A session. What do you all think? Yeah, all right. So yeah, we've been looking at the live chat box. There are quite a number of questions that we've been monitoring throughout the whole session. Let me look through and okay, I got a first question here. This is from Emily. Hi, Emily. So what has been your biggest challenge so far? Let me throw this question out to, or the...
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm assuming I'm assuming Emily's a student, but I don't know. I don't know judge, but I addressed this question from a standpoint of the biggest challenge for me. My answer is going to be when I first entered the bank, right? So the biggest challenge was transitioning from that student to a professional working or young professional. So I think, in university, most of the times, whether whatever you do, you're only accountable to yourself, right? If you don't study, you get bad grades. If you study, you get good grades. So you're only accountable to yourself, unless it's a group assignment. I think most other things that you do in university, only impacts yourself. But when you enter the working world, things are a bit different, because everything you do has a bigger impact, right? It impacts your bosses, it impacts the community, it impacts the bottom line of the bank, and a whole other range of stakeholders, right? And so managing that burden, and understanding that reality at the very start, when you first transition from a student to a working professional, is very, very, it's a bit intimidating. And I thought that was, one of my biggest challenge. The second thing I think was for me is, to manage expectations. So I think it's super important that when you enter the work, right, to not be able to, over promise and under deliver. And I think as an enthusiastic student, which I was, it's super exciting to just go to your boss and say, I can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G until A, A, B, A, C, A, Z, all for you in 2 days. And then, you pull your hair trying to deliver it. Right. So it's super, super important, I think, to be able to manage that promises that you make, and, to be able to deliver on time. So my boss always used to tell me this, right? On time in full. So boss, if you're watching, just remember that I know this quote, on time in full, and I'm trying my best to implement it. But yeah, I think those are, my two biggest challenges: managing stakeholder expectations, and also, that reality of knowing that what you do has a greater impact to the overall cost.
Irene, what do you think about this?
Biggest challenge, definitely. I mean, agree like what Baban said. The first time when I started to work in the bank, but it will be a different challenges, because not only I need to handle, transitioning from a student to an employee, but from Indonesia to Malaysia. So I have a lot of challenges, that to a point that I have like a lot of hair fall, because of it. Because it was so intense and I was alone without my family here. So it was just very miserable. But to look back, I grew a lot because of it. So what happened to me, I think this is also probably questions that some of you might have. Coming from Indonesia, right? We talk Indonesians. We rarely use English, for your information. So, I mean, learning English and speaking English are two different things. You can be the best, getting the best score on, grammar and all. But the moment you need to speak, you can be as silent as a stone. That was me, first few months in the bank. So I was so scared of people thinking that I was stupid and I was like retarded or something. Why you should see talking about, the discussion that we are having right now. So this kind of worries like really eat me up in the beginning. Some more, I joined my very first project in the bank was Maybank Go Ahead Challenge. That was quite intense experience also. Baban, don't disappoint the people in the bank. So yeah, that project also demands a lot of my time. I don't have friends yet during that time. The only friends that I have were my colleagues, which I spent almost 20 hours a day in the same room, to a point that I just want to pick up this pen and just like, shut up. That's how intense it was. But yeah, looking back, I think that experience really made me grow as a person. Because I do think if I choose to work in Indonesia, I wouldn't be like this. I wouldn't be forced out of my comfort zone to actually accelerate in my learning curves, And furthermore, also, I feel like the culture in Malaysia, the working culture in Malaysia, are very different than in Indonesia. In Indonesia, seniority, hierarchy are very important. But here in the bank, in Malaysia, or I can say in Maybank, those things are irrelevant. As long as you are contributing to the team and you got what it takes and you're being respectful while doing it, then come aboard.
Thanks, Irene. Can I just say I wouldn't have known that English is not your first language?
Oh. You know,
not meaning to blow your
Amanda,
transport here, but
the funniest thing, right? Sometimes, back in the day when we are like, for example, if we have this kind of discussion, I would answer the question like way, like the question like previously, because that's how slow I was to like rearranging words in my mind. But now I don't think I have that problem anymore. I sound a bit Malaysian even now, right?
yeah, all the
it's
las and
of
mas and
learning. You see, of course, the hours that I spent with my team back doing MGAC. I think almost like 8 out of 12 people were Chinese. So I was like catching here and there like that low. And then we go to Chap Fun, and then the auntie will give me cheaper price if I talk like this. So so yeah.
Yeah, good to know here from that. Peijan, maybe you can wrap us up on this question.
Yeah, I think my biggest challenge is actually very similar with Baban and Irene. It's now, as in the transition from being a student to working, and moreover, doing that in this pandemic when we're all working from home. And it's a little bit harder to just ask your colleague because they're not right beside you. You can't just go like, hey, so how do I do this? You gotta like text them or call them, So I think that has been my biggest challenge so far. But I must say that it's been easy because since I'm in the GMAT program, we have a lot of Maybank apprentices. We have over, I think, 40 plus, yeah. And we have this group chat where if I don't know anything, if let's say my connection broke down, I can't access my work email, I'll just drop them a message, hey guys, how do I fix this? Or let's say I don't know what's good to eat around here near the office or something, or I need help getting a tablet or something, I can just drop them a message. So I think the support system so far in my 3 months has been amazing. They really answer all of my questions, how to apply leave, if I'm sick, what happens, all those stuff. And also we have like a supervisor, her name is Janice. I don't know if y'all are familiar. If you join our Maybank Accelerator program or Maybank Go Ahead Challenge or any Maybank events, you'll know Janice. Yeah, so we have a Janice to like check up on us and ask us how we're doing throughout our rotation and make sure that the next rotation is a good one, something that we should go through and would give us better exposure. So I think even though this is a big challenge to transition, I think I'm very privileged to be in a position where it's so much easier than a lot of my peers out there.
Thanks for sharing on that, Peijan. So due to the interest of time, we'll be taking one more question from the floor. So let me take a look here. Okay, this one here from Armira Natasha. Hi. So hi everyone. Can I know what made you choose the graduate program in Maybank and not from any other company? Anyone?
Yeah. Okay. I'll go first. Peijan can't say anything. She's a scholar, man. So
bias.
You should choose Maybank anyway, Peijan.
No, but okay.
I'll been in Maybank since 2015.
She's the most senior, actually.
Which is what?
The most senior.
I'm the most senior one here.
Yeah. Okay. So I think for me, when I joined GMAP, I think just to give a context to set the scene a bit. GMAP is like a 2-year program. For those of you guys who are not sure, GMAP is a 2-year program. It stands for Global Maybank Apprentice Program, and it throughout the 2 years you will basically rotate across different departments, and each department you spend about 3 to 4 months, right? So the reason I chose it was so I did a bit of research when I got the job offer from Maybank for this program, and the one thing I found out very, very interesting was that we have a personalized rotation, right? So what this means is that every rotation you go through, you choose by yourself, right? There's no one straight linear curve that everyone who joins the program must go through these rotations, and then at the end you might as well it doesn't work like that for us, right? For us, how it works is that you get to choose what you want. So if you're a law background, you can choose to rotate in legal departments first or towards the very end. If you're in IT, you can choose to go to IT, or if you want to explore finance, hey, by all means, go ahead, right? If you're a tech person, come join some tech departments, right? So I thought that was very, very, very interesting. And the fun fact is that I think there's about 50 of us, or 46 or 40 of us in the whole MA program. I'll have to check with Janice. But none of us here has the same rotation path. So every one of us has a different path because we've all gone through different rotations. So not one of us has gone through the same path and the very end output. So that's the first thing, right? So I think that's super, super important. And I think the reason why this is were very attractive to me is because if you're going to force, there are other companies or other graduate programs that say that, hey, you have to spend 3 months in this department, then this, then this, then this. Right? There's no point forcing people to go through a structured rotation. Right? If that's the case, you might as well put them in the end department and say, hey, start working on that, right? Because that's where you're going to end up. So I think that's the first thing that I found very, very interesting, the fact that they had a personalized rotation. I think the second thing that was very interesting is that at the end of the whole program, so when it's 24 months, right? So when you've completed about 21 months and with about 3 months to go, you have this chance to go on an international assignment. So I think, Irene, this is your international assignment, but am I right?
My international assignment is forever international.
Oh, forever, yeah. So, okay, not every one of us is as lucky as Irene, but the idea is that the concept is that you get to go for 3 months to any other Maybank, offices around the world. So we have, I think offices all around ASEAN and, in London, New York, all of those places. So you get to go to any one of those offices and work there for 3 months on an international project, and then you come back, right? And so I think that gives you a huge exposure, to what work is, in a different country, right? And you don't have to go to places like New York and London. You can go to places like Cambodia or Thailand and learn their culture and how work is, in that area. So I thought that was super, super exciting. And then I was doing this additional research where I compared Maybank to some of the other graduate programs, and I realized that in Maybank, the environment is a bit more of we are family as compared to hey, who's the top, right? So we don't have a leaderboard. So to say, I know there are other graduate programs out there with a leaderboard, and who's leading and all, but we don't. And I think the idea is because, each of us come from a very different background. We have different life experiences. And to pit us against one another, would be to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, right? It's not fair. We all, have different, circumstances. So I think the fact that, there's no leaderboard, the fact that we're all, very a close, tight-knit family made it very, very more comforting for me to know that I'm joining an organization that does not promote that culture of, intense competition or do or die kind of thing, right? And if we have time, I'm going to, quickly say another 2 reasons why I chose. Is because for me, I think the best part about this is that for my ability to work on side projects. So on top of your usual departments that you get to work on, I heard from my colleagues before I joined that my now colleagues before I joined was that you get to work on side projects. So I'm currently working on ESG projects, employee transformation projects, those kind of things that you do outside of your rotation. And I think the best part about this is that you're not confined to working within one team in the whole life, within one department. So you get to work with different people. So I've worked with maybe Irene in one project and Paige in another project. And it becomes a very, very eventually network. It's a subconscious way to network with everyone as well. And I think the last reason I chose this program was because we get mentors. So after completing, not many graduate programs give you that, but after completing about 1 year of the program, you get a personalized mentor assigned to you. And the idea of the mentor is that for your second year, they basically help guide you to where you want to go and tell you, how is it that you go there. So yeah, I think those were some of the reasons that I joined. Of course, there's so many other reasons. I can go all day, but I'm just gonna leave it at that as to why I joined. But yeah, I think I'll leave the floor to them.
I should have written all of that down. Yeah, Irene, Peijan, do either of you want to add anything to this? I mean, Baban went quite extensively, but either of you?
I think Baban has covered most of it. But of course, when it comes to basic information, you can always go to our website and see what Maybank has to offer. I will just share my personal experience on why I ended up in the bank in Malaysia instead of working in my home country for my local companies. So before I graduated, actually, I got few offers from accounting firms also. I mean, they hired extensively in my university, which is University of Indonesia. So it's like this moving test from university to this company. But the reason why I choose Maybank is because all my whole life, I've been dictated that you should do accounting by my father. Probably some of us experience this. My parents will say, go to accounting, go to finance. That is the most common major that you can get. Um, easier for you to get a job, blah, blah, blah. Then I did. Luckily, I love accounting because they tried to impose that to my brother also, but doesn't work. Luckily, I love accounting. And then when I was in uni, then my seniors told me, yeah, you should work in this, accounting firm. Again, my destiny was destined even without my saying on it. So I was thinking, what would I want to do anyway? I really have no idea. Like, I've learned accounting for 4 years, but I was like, then what? Then what is the job? Is it just auditing? In fact, there's a wide range of job that you can apply accounting to, and that's the thing that I'm lacking of knowledge in. Then I joined Maybank Go Ahead Challenge. Just a fun little competition. Yeah, right. For 10 days. For 10 days, it was very intense. I was learning so much about myself. I think I learned more about myself in that 10 days compared to the 4 years I have in uni, by the way. I didn't know I am capable to do such that thing, like not sleeping for 4 days. But then I came about to this program, GMAT. And this program offered something that I never heard before, which is the rotation that we went through, all of us. Basically, it's like what Baban said, it's a 2 years rotational program. So in that 2 years, I'm pretty sure I will have known what I want to do in those 2 years, which is true, which is what happened is that along the way, after I rotated in few places, then I realized, oh, I don't want to do this thing, or I didn't see myself doing this thing for a long run. And then I came about to where I am right now, which is leverage finance, debt markets, Maybank Investment Bank. I feel very excited about it every single day. I tackle crisis, something new every single day, and I feel alive. And I am lucky to, to go through those experiences because I can end up here rather than, just go through to one job and then just regret, or even too late to start somewhere new. And to be honest with you, even when I was in uni, I didn't know there is this department called leverage finance in Maybank Investment Bank. And that only happens, I can only know about that because I went through the program, you see. So I think if you want to know why you should choose this program, I think that would be the biggest selling point. Of course, other than international assignment, is they expose you to international culture, workplace, but it's about how you grow and how you develop, that this program will cater for that personally, which means that, our head of talent, which is Sophia and Dache Janice, they will actually talk to you one by one to know, hey, where do you want to go? We can try this option and we will provide for you if you want to try and see if you will like the job. So this is the kind of things that Maybank offers.
Thanks, Irene. Maybe Pajan, you can just wrap up a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's not much to say because both of them have covered every aspect of why you should join GMAT. But I like to bang on the fact that it's a customized rotation and this is special. I think this is something very special where they are actually interested in you. They want to know what you want, what you're interested in, what you're curious about. But definitely, it ties back to the fact that you have to be open to trying new things. Like my next rotation is corporate banking. I am definitely going to drown. I'm a law student, don't do well with numbers, but I'm open to try things like that. And it's very interesting because I think that through this 2-year program, I'm going to be exposed to so many things, so many pillars of the bank. Right now I'm doing digital strategy. Next, I'm going to be doing corporate banking, doing loans and finances and things like that. So it's amazing. In these 2 years, I'm going to be trying everything out. I used to say that last time after SPM, we're like thrown to the deep sea. We're thrown to the really, really deep end of the sea where they're like, okay, so you studied a structured syllabus in school. Now, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's an impossible question to answer, honestly. Without trying something, how do you know that it's a fit for you and you like it? I didn't know that I like digital strategy, but now I love it. Maybe for my next rotation, I'm going to love corporate banking. Who knows, really? So I think the biggest selling point for GMAP is that it's really customized to you. And even before that, through all the grueling GMAP assessment centers, it actually is a function for our Janice and Sophia, our head of department, to get to know you. So they're actually holding on to information that you don't even know about yourself. And they're advising you on the path that you should take or that you're interested in, you know? So I think coming out of it, I'm definitely going to be a more like three-dimensional person rather than someone who just goes to like one path and be like, okay, I'm going to stick to this and work 30 years, like stay in this path for 30 years, you know? So yeah, and also I think it's a true testament that this program is very special because I think we have 100% retention rate. Like even scholars who enter this program and those from Maybank Go Ahead Challenge and direct hires, everybody stays. Nobody leaves, man. So yeah, I think that's a true testament to how much we enjoy this program and how much thought has been put into this.
Yeah, I think the three of you have really sold a lot of people on the program for reals, although there may be some bias here and there that we were talking about earlier. But well, yeah, due to the time constraints, that would actually mark the end of our Q&A session from the floor. If you have any other questions that we haven't addressed in this session, feel free to slide into our DMs and our Instagram at myroaringcareers, and we'll be sure to try to reply you from there. So yeah, this marks the end of today's session. Once again, thank you to our lovely group of speakers over here, Baban, Irene, Pajan, for being so open and sharing with us your experiences and your opinions on things. Yeah, it truly has been a delightful and insightful session. And yeah, I really hope that everyone was able to learn a little something about Maybank and walked away with valuable insights. So again, for those of you who want to know more about Maybank and the awesome opportunities we have, do check us out at the Graduan Aspire Virtual Fair or connect with us on Instagram at myroaringcareers. So thank you to everyone who took the time to join us this Saturday afternoon. Stay safe, and yeah, back to you, Wafi.
Right. Thank you to the panel. Thank you, Amanda. And thank you to the panel for the eye-opening insight. We hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I wasn't on screen, but I was paying attention the whole time. So if you'd like to know more about the career opportunities Maybank has to offer, do check out their virtual booth at virtual.grad1.com. And don't forget to follow Maybank on Instagram at myroaringcareers and follow Grad1 too at Grad1 on all social media platforms. And thank you once more to the panelists. And thank you on behalf of Grad1. Thank you to all the viewers today. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye.